Hi, everybody. This is Travis from The Berm Show. Lower 22 Vets is a social media platform exclusively for active duty and veterans. Connect, communicate, and network with your own. Sign up is free and easy with giveaways each month. Download on Apple Store or Google Play. Today's episode is brought to you by Left Foot, Right Foot Shirt Company. This is a veteran owned 100% nonprofit shirt company that donates all their proceeds from sales to charities focused on PTSD and mental health. These shirts are so soft, fit so well, and I guarantee they'll add a couple inches to your biceps. Go check them out and tell Mark I sent you at lfrfshirts.com. Just keep going. All right, here we go. All right, everybody. So today we're here with you're a veteran as well, correct? Navy veteran, Daniel Parra. Is that how you pronounce your last name?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, pretty cool story about you from what I've seen in our discussions and what you left in your sign up and stuff. So you've worked with the Coast Guard through contract work. You're a professor. You've done finance work for J.P. Morgan, and now you got your own coffee company that I've partaken in quite a bit, and I freaking love. To be honest, I'm not gonna lie, I love coffee, but yeah, Veterans Brewing Company. So yeah, nice to have you.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Yeah, it's kind of been a weird road. I still do the whole finance and professor thing, but this has been something I'm slowly been working on and building more and more into. And Veterans Brewing Company it just came out of nowhere during the whole COVID time. I mean, you're in California, right?
Correct. Yeah, I think you're in San Diego, correct? So I'm just like 2 hours north, basically. I'm pretty close.
Nice. Where we're at?
It's a town called Beaumont.
Oh my.
Yeah, see, it's like the drive-through town. It's it's the closest, I guess, town or like place people know would be like Palm Springs. I guess that's kind of like the closest area.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. We being in California when COVID happened, unlike a lot of other places, we got locked down. And that's okay. It is what it is, but we saw a lot of people kind of struggling as well, to nonprofits that support our brothers and sisters. And we just kind of, during the whole lockdown, we were like roasting at the house and getting all the logistics and teams and people that we know. We're like, hey, why don't we do something about it? Maybe we can help out. People love coffee. It's a safe way. We can just use logistics to kind of ship things around. No one has to be in contact and make it all work. And that's kind of how it all kicked off. And we just kind of were like, hey, whatever profits we make, at the very least, we'll be able to donate some of it away to some of our, nonprofit organizations that support, veterans. And if there's something that we can use to help build it and make it a little bit more, let's do that. And that's kind of just how it happened. It didn't expect it to turn into a full-on business. We were just roasting for fun, and next thing you know, we're signing up for LLC, getting websites, Instagram, and doing the whole 9 yards.
That's what's kind of crazy about like the whole COVID thing. Like you said, for California, I mean, it was just it was nuts. Like the company I worked for before, all of a sudden it just shut down. Like nobody was allowed in the office at all. All they allowed was like the production crew, but everybody was working from home. So yeah, you start thinking of different side things. Like what can I do now? I got all this time. Like it's like time you never had before. Like I was telling somebody the other day about it. I was like, man, I'd wake up like right before I have to start work, before I'd have to wake up like a couple hours before, drop the kids off and like, beat traffic and all this stuff. Now it's just like, oh, I can wake up, log in, start working, be done exactly at like 3:00. And then you have the whole day. So you start thinking of things to do,
Yeah. And you know what? And that's what we were noticing as well, too. We had a lot of free time, and, we started just expanding like the flavors and taste. And I got to learn how to do decaf. And I've never really understood that whole process, it's a process. But there's just so many little things that we had like a little bit of free time to do. And I was able to get associated with Temecula Roasters and a couple other crews, and they were all able to help us out really well. And yeah, and then this year, because now things are starting to go and we're moving and we're doing like farmers markets and this and that, we started doing teas as well too. That's the because we noticed like a lot of people liked coffee, but they wanted to change it up, or their significant others,
Mhm.
wanted to have. They weren't a coffee fan, but they still wanted to have something. And so now we're doing teas as well too. So it's been something that we're just growing piece by piece. And yeah, so just thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you bringing us on board to help explain what we're all about. Really do.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, I appreciate you, taking the time to jump on. And I know it's crazy. Everybody's running around because now we're getting back into like the old swing of things, where okay, now the roads are full again, and everybody's going back to work, and not everybody's at the house. So it's weird to go back to normal after not having lived a normal life for like a year and a half.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, I
exactly.
greatly appreciate you taking the time to, jump on and make time for myself as well. So um, yeah, I want to dive in a little bit too into your background. I know you were in the Navy, so what kind of
Yeah.
led you down that path, and what did you do exactly while you were in the Navy?
Yeah, well, I got lucky. So originally I was working with the Coast Guard doing some contract work, and a couple of people that I knew, they always said definitely do the Mustang route. If you want to have that respect and that camaraderie of leading a team, definitely do the Mustang route. And for the listeners that don't know, Mustang route's basically where you're enlisted and then transfer over into an officer. And the reason why they said that to me was because I already completed my bachelor's degree by then.
Mm.
And I was like, you know what? I'm down. So started working detainee transportation, because as soon as I got to my first command, you know how you meet your commander. You get there, you're in your dress whites, and you got the one little ribbon, and he was asking me about. He's like, so tell me a little bit about yourself, and let him know that I speak, English, Spanish, sign language, Arabic. Hold on.
Oh
Speak
wow.
Arabic? And that brought me down a different path. I guess in the military, especially on the Navy side, we're known as your position is known as a rate.
Mhm.
My rate was AT, aviation tech. But everyone that knows me, that met me along the way, they all know I never turned a wrench, never fixed anything electrical, never touched a damn thing on that bird. But yeah, I wound up doing detainee transportation, which was an interesting career. But it gave me a little bit of free time while I was in. I did get an injury to where they were going to process me out, unfortunately, but I was able to knock out my master's. You got a prisoner next to you; he's just sitting there, so might as well read. And knocked out my master's while I was in, and got the opportunity to basically, as soon as I got out of the military, to start teaching. And at this time, I was in Florida, and things just weren't working out. I wound up making my way back home to California, originally from LA, and got lucky to work with some teams and stuff like that. Came out here and wound up being a professor, but COVID happened. I went from having, what was it? I think 6 classes, 7 classes I was teaching, and then down to one. So
Oh, wow.
yeah. So while we're hanging out, just waiting to see what happens with this whole COVID thing, that's when I started changing into the coffee thing, like I was mentioning earlier. But yeah, the Navy, I was hoping to go officer, wanted to be flying F-22s. But I mean, you know how it goes, military or just in life, things don't go as planned. And I tell my wife, my new wife, we
Yeah,
just got
recently
married.
married.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago. So I told her, and I was like, this is not the road that I expected to ever be on. Like, I thought I'd be a bachelor living in Florida, flying F-22 fighter jets. Here I am, married man, working in finance, owning a coffee company, and we're looking to hopefully start building a family. So it is what it is, and just be happy with it. And yeah, not the road that I expected, but I mean, very blessed. You know what I mean? So
It is true though. There's so much of that where the Navy, maybe it's just in life in general, but yes, certainly in the military where things kind of just happen. It feels like, you
Yeah.
know. But one of the things, like I applaud you that you did, is you took advantage of going to college while you're in, because a lot of folks like myself,
Mhm.
we think about it. I'm sure you came across a whole bunch of guys that were like, oh yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take advantage, and then they don't, and you get out and you're like, holy crap, I don't have anything to my name besides the military. So,
Yeah.
um, man, yeah, taking advantage of that while you're in, I think is definitely sets you up for the long run to get out of that transit, to make that transition a little bit easier, because now you got a little bit more options when you're getting out versus being no matter how old you are with nothing besides a military experience, because not every place takes that to the bank. They're like, they don't understand what any of that stuff you put on your resume is.
Exactly. Exactly. Like
So
it's such a weird path, but I gotta admit, I did get lucky when it came to the whole schooling. I I was always told, growing up that, you can buy a house, you can lose your house. You can buy a car, you can lose your car. You can buy. But there's a lot of things you can lose in this world. The one thing they can never take was your education. And I kind of took that to heart. I was like, you know what? And especially when they said that, hey, they'll help pay for schooling and everything while you're in. I was like, fuck it, let's do this. Let's just go ahead and knock it out. So I just started working on it, and I guess working in detainee transportation, I was lucky enough to have a little bit of free time. You're just sitting there. He ain't
mhm.
going nowhere. He's locked up, but someone has to be there. So I just pulled out. I had a Sentry vest, which I stole. I kept. Because it's my little souvenir, but underneath it, I had enough room to hold one book. And so that's how I was able to just carry my book everywhere I needed to, or my notes. And that's just what I did. And so it did, because I knew one day, I knew the military wasn't going to be forever, but at the very least, the schooling will be. And so I was like, let's just knock it out. And I did. I got all the way to where it was only like two more classes right before I got I separated. And then one semester, knocked them out, started working right away to as teaching. So
Holy crap!
yeah,
Yeah,
it
it's
was. But you know how it goes, man. When you're in the barracks, I literally had the option. You can either go party, which was a lot of fun. I'm not gonna lie. The barracks parties were always cool. Going out to the towns and wherever we're heading to, or if you just want to be a little bit of a penny pincher, save a few bucks, hang out, read a book. That's what I did. So, um,
definitely more mature than most people.
yeah, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm not gonna lie. I do miss out. I missed out on a lot of that fun, a lot of the fun. But I still had a good time. I met some amazing people in the military that, I mean, they're lifelong brothers and sisters, and just really lucky to have that opportunity. But I did want to make sure I got something out of it for myself. And yeah, at least I got the schooling done. I didn't get to fly F-22s, damn it, but still got a master's, which definitely helped me out in this world that I'm in now. So
Mhm. So if you aren't going to be, you say you're medically discharged. So if that wasn't going to happen, say if that injury or whatever it is never came about, do you think you would have stayed in? Was that your original goal, was to do 20 and you know hang it up after that, or?
yeah, that sounded like the cool opportunity. If you were able to fly, and uh, but it is questionable because I mean, you probably have some buddies that did go officer, or you met someone that did, and even though they were officer, they left after 6 years or after four or whatever.
Mhm.
And I mean, they also have it, tough on their end. And so it just kind of happened to where I was hoping that it would. And if it did, my normal routine, fuck it, let's just do it. And if that's what would happen, awesome is what I was thinking. But I was kind of just rolling with the dice and seeing where it landed. And I was lucky to go with a couple of guys that we were all trying to do this Mustang route, and a couple made it. And there's only like four of us, and one didn't. He wound up going. He's now a warrant officer, but two others did go officer.
Damn.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's a badass. That motherfucker right there, again, going warrant officer. You know how that goes, man. Those guys, they work their asses off.
Yeah, they do. Like on my ship, we had a CW04 at the time. I think he was like one or two in the entire, like one of the two in the entire Navy with that. And that
Yeah,
that dude was a fucking savage. Like
Oh yeah.
Bosa Milligan, man, that dude was fucking crazy. Yeah, I always tell this funny story about him. That's how crazy this guy was. Uh, we were doing a Raz, I think it
Uh-huh.
was, a replenishment at sea, and he got like a thing of no explode, just the powder, and put it in his hand and just threw it in. Like I can't remember if it was nighttime or in the morning. I just know it was dark, and we are like, "Holy shit!" We're in the muster. We're like, "What the fuck is this guy doing?" And he's like, "Let's go! Let's like high
Yeah.
fiving people, hitting everybody on the back. Let's fucking do it!" It's like, "Oh shit! All right,
Hell
like
yeah.
damn, we're doing it. We're fucking going now, man." Like,
That's awesome, man. Yeah, it, gosh, I love them, every single one of them. But everyone that I met, I mean, they were just some amazing people to work with, and warrant officers. I mean, they were dimes right there for sure, man. Those guys were killing it. And the officers, though, one of them wound up going. He's working on. He's doing prowlers. I can't I keep forgetting the name, especially right now because we're interviewing. But the seat behind the pilot, can't think
like
of the guy that fly the
a
guy that's right
co-pilot?
behind the pilot. Huh?
Are they called co-pilots or something? I don't know if
Yeah.
there's a specific term for it, but
I can't remember the term right now, but he wound up getting that, and so now he's every once in a while I see him posting running through canyons with his jet, and just, oh god, so jealous. But I mean, at the same time, he's looking at it saying like, I'm done,
Mhm.
and he's only now, I think he's now at 11 years, but he's saying like he's going to get out and go be a civilian engineer, and to his their own. And you know how it goes. There's sometimes the big blue weenie will totally fuck you. And
Mhm.
I think he's at that point where he's just done with it. So, but I mean, he still got to live that dream, and that's a hell of a one to live. So, yeah, it would have been cool. I mean, I think it would have been awesome to do the 20 if it was God willing, but kind of just accept it. It is what it is. I mean, would have been cool, but I got a really, really cool life right now.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. I think that outlook is like the best way to have it too, our best mindset going into it. Because I know, like, I've talked to a lot of folks so far doing this, and it's like kind of a mixed bag. Like everybody's experiences are different, but somewhat the same. But then their transitions out, like some people take it really hard. Some
Yeah,
people come out and they're like, oh man, almost unscathed, I guess you can say. Like they found something right away. They had a really good plan for their
yeah.
transition.
Mhm.
Like what I can't remember who it was exactly that I was talking to. God, he has his own charity and stuff, but he was even saying that they should like implement more programs while you're getting ready to transition out to where
Yes.
you can be prepared kind of like yourself. But I mean, you did it all by yourself. And then there's those, if you're enlisted and say you just do 4 years or whatever it is, you're still freaking 22 years old when you're getting out, most likely. And you don't
Exactly.
really know what the hell you're fucking doing,
Yeah.
So I think those are important things. Hopefully that does happen because you're probably the first or second person I've talked to that's had like some type of structure while they're in and then leading out, and it's because not everybody does. I mean, I certainly didn't, and a lot of folks I've talked to haven't. So,
Yeah.
um,
It,
did that ease your transition specifically? Coming out and knowing, hey, I got all this military experience, but now I also got the degrees to back me up as well.
yeah.
So, then, and like you said, you got that teaching job or professor job. So, was it tough getting out for you, or was it like, oh, this isn't too bad?
Well, it was. I'm not gonna lie. It was tough. I mean, was it hindsight though? Like, is you know what I mean? Like in the
Mhm.
beginning, it was like because when I stepped out, I kind of freaked out. I was like, this is not what I was expecting. I was like, I thought I would be, hopefully being a pilot and all this stuff, and I didn't expect to use this degree anytime soon. Like I was thinking it's there, and when we get out, see what happens. Not, oh shit, guess we're going to put this thing to use now. And I remember I started working with a museum called the Cumberland Museum and Gardens in Jacksonville. They're connected with the Smithsonian, and was teaching as well too at elementary school, and just hopping around trying to make it happen. I was dating a woman at the time and it didn't work out as well too. So jobs weren't panning out right. relationship wasn't panning out right, and kind of came back, with like almost felt like with my tail between my legs, coming back to Cali, and I was just like, what am I doing? But I kind of was like, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. I do have the military. I also have the VA loan, which I was able to use to for school, because I used the master's while I was in, and then used the post 9/11 after, and got my doctorate. Um, but I didn't. I mean, it's kind of hard. Well, you gave me this question earlier. I was kind of thinking. I was like, it was tough getting out, because again, you don't know what you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
but you just got to kind of just roll with the punches. I was working. I did even GNC, working with them for I think like a month and a half or something like that. I did security as well too for a couple of months, and just kind of just it was whatever was coming. Hey, sure, let's try it. Project management as well too, and the whole professor slowly started to build, and I was like, okay, we can break off and actually do it on our own with that. And then COVID, but it is what it is. Just kind of got to accept it. And the biggest thing, I mean, I would always tell every single enlisted or officer, get a plan for your plans, backup plans, backup plan.
Mm.
Have multiple plans. Accept more than anything. Always see the glass half full and just accept it. And lastly, I always tell everyone, you got hearing problems more than likely. You got bad legs, knees, you busted your hip or some nerve damage, broken fingers for me as well. I mean, there's always something. Get
Mm-hmm.
your VA situated as well too, and do that while you're in. Get it all fucking done. If you do it, at least you have a fighting chance. You got a little bit of a money coming in. You have, if you did your 20, at least you got your retirement set up. Put yourself in a place. It's hard though. It's hard. It's really hard to see long term for a lot of people. And I just kind of was like, well, if it is what it is, and let's just see what happens. And I definitely say that the biggest thing out of it all, though, see a glass half full. It is what it is. You're not going to be always prepared. The job's not going to pan out. The education, not even going to work. I got a doctorate in education, and I work in finance. you know, it it is what it is, and you just got to accept it and just kind of roll with the punches, and it's still going to be a beautiful life.
Mm-hmm.
I I was watching that. What is that? That's that stupid movie. It's a Wonderful Life.
I haven't seen that.
I see that, and I'm like, that's really just life. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you think you're gonna do this, you think you're gonna do that, you're gonna be doing this and making millions, and bitches everywhere, the whole 9 yards. And then next thing you know, you're living in your mom's basement. Or it's you're working at you know Joe Schmo's oil change. It is what it is, but
Mm-hmm.
just you still got a great life. You're still here. You're still above the ground. You ain't 6 feet under. And so it's a hard pill to swallow, though, to accept. Joe Schmo's oil shop, living at home. After you've been living on your own, partying all around the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough. It's tough. And yeah, that's one reason why I'm so glad I can, donate so much, and do whatever we can to help support, our brothers and sisters, because it's a hard transition. It really is. I just got lucky to just try to see it half glass full as much as I can.
Yeah, I think that's very important to do. Is not, I mean, not for everybody it happens like that. Some folks, maybe it takes them a long time and they start seeing it that way. They're like, man, like it's not that bad, because I mean, certain circumstances or whatever it is, mindsets too. I think a lot of that plays a factor into it. Like you said, being prepared. Like you're telling other enlisted individuals or officers, like, man, if you're going to get out, start making a plan, and a plan for that plan. Because I think a lot of
Plan
folks
for
that
that
I've
plan.
talked, yeah, because you need to. And I wish somebody would have told me that, when I was in, because I think a lot of folks have a plan that gets them to the military. Because a lot of people I've talked to, um, knew they always wanted to go that route. They're like, man, I always knew I was going to go the military route. But then I was one of those individuals, but I never had a plan for afterwards. And I think that's the trap where you got to realize if you're going to enlist it, maybe you only do 4 years. You go in thinking you're going to do 20, but like you said, maybe something happens, you get hurt, and you can't do 20. So now you got to get out when you don't want to get out. And now if you haven't planned for anything, you can get screwed. I mean, you can really set yourself back.
Mhm.
And that's one of the things I've told uh, some folks I've known that I've met that are younger that have gotten out of the military. If I see them like anywhere, I'm just like, you know what? You're 22 years old. Don't be down on yourself. I get that sucks because you feel like, man, you're behind the curve. That's how I felt.
Yeah.
Like, man, I'm 22. I got no degree, and everybody graduating from college is my age, and they're getting jobs. I was doing the same thing like you were doing. I was just working crap
Yeah.
jobs to just get by. I was like, whatever. It's a job. Hate it. And that's a dangerous thing, also, though, because a lot of folks get trapped in like this mindset thinking, I can't get out of this. I'm just in this endless cycle of crap job, crap job, crap job. But it's like, man,
Yeah.
stop worrying about
It's
what other people are doing.
mhm.
You're it's funny. I was telling somebody this before. I was like, we're so resilient when we're in the military, and if for some reason, man, when we get out, we fold hard. I don't know what it is. Not that's mean to say, I guess, but generally, a lot of veterans like fold on themselves. Like you
Yeah.
start internalizing a lot of stuff, and you don't,
Yeah.
like you said, see the big picture. It's not that bad, man. Like
Yeah.
it's only temporary,
Yeah.
and you can get through
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. You see, like I met a guy that, and I won't say his name, but the guy was literally working at Subway. Homeboy, though, I mean, had a silver star.
Mm.
I mean, he was, I mean, Chess Candy was a fucking Christmas tree, you know? I mean, Homeboy was about that life. And I mean, he went over to Iraq, Afghanistan, did the whole 9 yards. Next thing you know, he's working at Subway. And it is what it is.
Hmm.
He was bummed out because he saw me come in and was like, dude, what are you doing? I was like, man, it's kind of hard to see through it all because he just started going back to school. He was 26 at the time, so he's going to school with 18-year-old kids. Is what he felt like, kids, but they're 18. He's like, I'm almost a decade ahead of them, but we're all in school together. And I was like, hey man, that's your road. I was like, I guarantee you're going to have that degree in 4 years. And and you step up into that position, that role, they're going to see a difference between you and that kid that has been in that role for a while, but you have some real life experiences that
Hmm.
that child mentally, he's a grown man, but mentally he's a child compared to about the experience that you've already, obtained. And more than and then also I would also tell them this is that it's kind of hard to see through the muck. You
Mm.
are working at Subway. Take it as it is. It's hard though when you see some 22-year-old kid that shows up in a brand new Mercedes, and you're over here after serving multiple wars. Chest candy for days, but like you're asking, do you want mayo and mustard?
Hmm.
And that's really fucking big pill to swallow right there. But now he does work with me at JP Morgan, and it's a different ball game for sure. He's definitely looked at and appreciated much more than most. And it's kind of, but again, it's hard to see it. It's so hard to see that long term planning. And yeah, I'm blessed to have that guy with me now, but yeah, it's a tough thing for some of our guys, man. It just watch them kind of just struggle for so long, you know. I God, I gotta admit, I count my blessings daily. That I just kept pushing through, just kept pushing through.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing to do, I think, is to keep pushing through. I mean, because a lot of folks, I've had those days where that I've talked to, they're like, I don't even know why I'm doing this anymore. And you start thinking, you get into your own head way too much. And I think that's easy to do. But like that's what you're saying with him working at Subway. This just reminded me yesterday I was getting my haircut. You know, my barber, he was in the military. We're talking. He's like, "Oh, I'm going back to school." He's like, "I think I'll become a teacher." He's like, "I want to be." That's what I'm doing. I was like,
Fuck yeah.
"Man," and he's like in his mid to late 30s. He's like the same age I am. I'm like, "Man, that's fucking awesome," you know. And then
Yeah.
he's like, "Yeah," he's like, you could tell he got excited. Like he started talking about it and like what grades he wants to teach and stuff. And it's like, man, that's cool because like there's been the first few times I got my haircut there, he was like, "Oh, you know, yeah, it's just I cut hair. I flew with my parents still." And I was like, "Oh, that sucks," you know. I was like, "But it gets better." I was like, "Hey, dude, it might suck, but everybody has their own situations." At that time I was working like fucking a shit job. I was probably like in security. I think I might have been working security at the time too. And it's like, dude, like
Yeah.
it's not pretty for everybody, man, you know?
It
And you
ain't.
gotta stop comparing yourself to what other people are doing. I think that's part of the problem with for veterans because man, it's
Oh
like
yeah.
you're saying what you're serving somebody a sandwich and that 20-year-old kid just rolled in a freaking Benz. You're like, man, I've gone to war or I've been on deployments, I've served my country, I've done all this freaking grunt work, I was respected
Mhm.
every single day, saluted for some folks, and then you get out and you're just a fucking person
Yeah.
to everybody. They don't care what you did, who you are. That's a tough pill to swallow. I know it was for me. It was like, man, people are just talking to me like down to me, and they don't know who I am. But it's like you can't expect people to know or I guess
I,
to understand. I think that's you want the respect, and then how are they going to understand anyways? So it kind of is a tough pill to swallow,
yeah.
uh, being a veteran, especially in the beginning.
You brought up a good point though. You did that when the minute he started talking, your barber started talking about schooling and what grade he wants to work in and all. That's an important thing to also see is that passion and dream of or that goal.
Mm-hmm.
Just holding on to that value of what you really want to do in that role. Oh, I want to teach this. Okay, so then you start looking at the classes. Okay, well, this one's going to help me dictate, whatever for that education level that I want to teach at, or it's going to help me articulate things a little bit better. And it's hard though, but like because you got to hold on to that dream. That's
Mm-hmm.
5 years, 6 years, 10 years, whatever it is, down the road, and trying to see it while you're working at Subway. Or I have another one that I just met for Veterans Day. We had a thing. He was an officer, got out, and was working as a grocery store down in Miami.
Oh damn.
Just work officer, the whole 9 yards. He was there for 6 years, did everything. You know, he's the shit. He's an
Yeah.
officer, gets saluted on a regular basis. Morning, sir. And now he's over there bagging. What would you like, paper or plastic? You know, it's and now he's working with me. It's hard to see because he wound up getting he wanted to go get his master's, his MBAs from what me and him were talking, and that's how he was able to get the position. And but before that, getting to that point, that's a tough one as well
Mm-hmm.
too. Just kind of seeing like I was getting saluted every day by 20 people as I walked into the command, 20 people as I'm walking back out, and now I'm helping out their wife or whatever, saying, "Would you like paper or no plastic? I'll make sure to stack it properly, ma'am." "Yes, ma'am."
Mm-hmm.
It's That's a tough way, but got to hold on to that passion and that dream. Got to hold on to that, man. You got to have a dream. I think that's
Yep.
probably the most important thing, actually. But now that we're talking about it, you got to have a dream that you are willing to fucking fight for. You got to be ready for that. You know, Gosh, that's it. That's got to be
Yeah.
the winner right there. You got to be like, you're willing to do whatever you need to do to get that dream. That's
Yeah.
the reason why you're leaving, not because your commander or your superior is a fucking asshole. It's simply for the fact that that dream that you want, it's not going to work here. It's going to work there if I do this. And so that's it. That's the key. That's the fucking key. I didn't even think about that until just now. I've been trying to figure out this for a while. Because everyone's always like, "What? You did what? You got a doctorate?" I'm starting another master's because work's giving it to me for free. I'm like,
Oh shit.
yeah, fuck it, man. It's free. I'm a whore when it comes to free stuff, man. I love I love it. I love giving out free stuff. I'm going to send you some more some teas. I forgot to send them out, but I love free things. And
Ugh.
so when they told me they're like, "Oh, we'll give you an MBA," I was like, "Let's do it." I signed up, so we're going to be starting that one up too while we're at it. But yeah, man, just you gotta have that dream now. I've been trying because we were talking. Everyone's always asking, like, why did you do this? Why are you only? Why do you have this coffee company when you work in finance or you're a professor? Why? I'm like, well, this is not the world that I wanted. Fuck it, man. It's great. It's fun. Look at I'm talking to you now, man,
Yeah.
about I donate money to a bunch of nonprofits and it's helping people get, emotional support pets or sending veterans down to do protection for poached animals down in Africa. It's you gotta just roll with it, man. Shit, I'm gonna lie, I'm loving life. It's hard. It's really hard to
Yeah.
do it, and I feel bad. We gotta. I gotta say it to this and to the people, anyone that watches it. I am lucky to have a wife that just accepts the wild road that we have. She's just kind of like, oh, okay, let's do it. And
That's
if it
that's
wasn't for
probably the
her,
key right there, to be honest,
it has
man.
to be just someone that's willing to just roll with the punches with you on it. And so, I mean, she shows up to like when we do like cars and coffee at some of the events that are around here, and she'll roll with me, help me unload, and help me serve, free coffees or whatever, just to like help encourage the name. And yeah, I got lucky on that one. She's putting up with all the bullshit.
It kind of reminds me. There's a comedian, Bill Burr, who has a joke. He said like every relationship has a dreamer, and then one that's the realist. I swear,
Yeah,
the realist is always the wife, man.
it is.
You
It
know,
really is, man. I got lucky. That one just, I mean, my wife, Amanda, God bless her. I love her so much. We just got married. We did and you being Navy, you probably laugh at it. We went on a cruise ship. And so everyone exactly. Everyone I tell is Navy, they're just like, man, why would the hell would you go back on a ship?
hey, I did the same thing for my honeymoon. I was against it for the longest time. I was like, man, I told my wife, I was like, I've been on the ship, I've been on deployment, I've been out on the water. I don't want to go back. I don't want to do it again. She's like, well, this is different. She's like, this is different. You won't be working. It's like all luxury and stuff. I was like, oh my God. I was like, I just don't want to be on the water. I'm over it. I didn't like the ocean before I joined.
Yeah.
but you can't lie, man. Being on the cruise ship is
Wow.
definitely not being on a carrier. That's for damn sure. I was like, this
Hell
is
no,
nice.
man. They what was it? And for $70, because we did this new ship that was with Princess. I think it was like $70, man. I'm giving them the fucking hookup. They better hook me up with this thing. Those bastards. I mean, it was busy as hell, but trying to get a wedding plan, but getting on there, unlimited alcohol for like $70. Fuck, man. We had drinks for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, it was good. And this was also her first, cruise. I've done a few, but having her come along, and she's now all about it. So for any Navy, definitely check it out. I mean, because it's a
It's not
different
that
way of
bad.
life, and it's nice to know that you don't have any working parties or mustard stations or that shitty ass was it spaghetti for breakfast.
You know
Oh,
what? I'm the more people I've talked to, I'm pretty happy I ate what I ate on the ship because man, I've complained to a bunch of folks and they're like, "Oh man, try eating MREs for fucking
that
like
too.
weeks," and I'm like, "Oh, that
Oof.
sucks, man." I was like,
Yeah.
out for on my deployment, there was a stretch where it was like one side of the galley was like a different type of chicken every day. It'd be like chicken patties, chicken nuggets, and then it'd be like I don't know, tender strips. It was like
Yeah.
all kinds of weird shit. The other side was just burgers or cheeseburger every
Yeah.
day. I was like,
Wow.
man, I'm happy that's all I ate compared to some of these stories, man. Because I'm like, that shit's
Yeah.
rough. But
Yeah. Like, when you talk to some of the guys, I mean, one was I won't give his name out as well, but I'll never forget. He would literally eat spaghetti noodles, just noodles for breakfast, lunch, and dinner
that's savage.
because the captain of the ship or whatever gave all their food to some crew or some people in like the Philippines or something like that. And of course, they got an award, a medal for doing that type of stuff. But I mean, everybody was living off spaghetti for the next 2-3 weeks until they got to the next port.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I don't know. It's some people like. I mean, yeah, you get burgers and chicken, and then other ones are like, hey, what can we survive off of?
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah,
And that's
gosh,
how it works. Like even my best friend and I were just cracking up about this on our deployment. We on our Tiger cruise from Washington State. We went there, picked up family members, and came back to Coronado. And
nice.
they had like lobster and all this like fancy shit. We're like, where the hell has this been for freaking
Where, where the fuck
like
you keep
eight,
this?
9 months? Like, what the fuck? Like cheesecake and like,
Probably the
did you guys?
mess.
Yeah, it's like, what the hell? Like, you guys just picked this up? Where's this been? I was like, what the hell?
Yeah,
Like when my parents picked me up, they're like, "Where do you want to eat?" I was like, "I just don't want chicken." I was like, "I'm
yeah,
fucking over chicken, man." I was like, I think we went to In and Out, which is okay. I will sacrifice a burger for that, but yeah, I
yeah.
was like chicken, no, I'm good. But yeah, my buddy and I were cracking up about that. We're like, this is some fucking crazy shit. His
Yeah.
dad was like, "Oh, it's not that bad on here." It's like, what the hell? We weren't eating that.
Man, I noticed I saw like what was it on they were doing a submarine on the Discovery Channel. It was a brand new class, the whole 9 yards. God bless those guys that did that stuff, man. Shit. I but they were showing like at the time, like, oh yeah, so today we're gonna be having steaks and lobsters, and everyone that I was with, because it was at one of the barracks time, and everyone was like, bullshit, bullshit, we don't get none of that shit. Everyone was like, that's fucking bullshit. It's just advertising it. Come to the Navy, you'll eat noodles later for when you're actually here.
Yeah, it
God,
a perfect example of like how the Navy lies. So like my recruiter, he was a second class pay officer, I think. He had
yeah.
told my mom, he's like, "Oh yeah, I've never even been on a ship," and he's like, "Yeah, I've never even been on the water." So my mom was like, "Oh okay." And then you get in, you learn that you have to do like 4 years sea duty, 3 years shore duty. I'm like, this guy
Yep.
hell alive. Not that I've
Man.
complained. I mean, that was kind of the whole purpose. It's fucking I want to be on the ship, but it always just cracked me up because my mom took that to the bank, man. She was like, "Oh yeah, I believe this
Yeah.
guy." It's like, no, actually, he had to fucking be on the ship at one point or sea duty to get here. But
Man, those I mean those recruiters, they know how to play the game, man. We got told one time, or when I was coming in, it was a best friend, a friend that I love to death, nice guy, getting married, and I was like, hey, don't worry, man. Recruiter said I'll be able to make it. Yeah, so I finally made it back after I think like 7 months or something like that in the military. He was already married for 3.5. And he's like, I told you, bro. I told you they weren't gonna let you. I was like, the recruiter said that it was okay.
yeah,
Man, played me. But they got to make the game. They got to make it happen to get those numbers and the people. Because I'm here now. I'm being told like the recruiting is like super low for or they're not able to get. They're not able to meet quota right now. Is that true?
probably because it kind of lately I've seen like a lot of I don't know if it's a Navy person, but there's some Navy dude. I'm guessing it's Navy. That's on my Instagram
Yeah.
that I follow. He's always posting stuff like, "Oh, you want free college? You want to travel the world? Like join the Navy." So I'm guessing that's maybe their new pitch is the whole free college.
Yeah.
Like, hey, come get free college because that's like one of the major issues in today's society. Is like
Uh,
not
I mean,
having to pay for or having to pay for college. So
yeah, yeah. And there's another thing I remember because I was also working professional development department while I was transitioning out. I think the biggest issue that you brought up, you made me think about something that they don't tell you about all the benefits that you can get while you're in.
mm,
Like they had this it's called the CLEP program where college level examination something. Basically you can just take these tests and it'll give you college credit for if you pass this test instead of taking the class. And so it's completely free as well too. you just show up on a Friday afternoon for a couple hours and you take a test, and if you pass, sweet, you get a college credit.
No
You don't,
shit.
no worries, you didn't pay for anything. And
Wow.
so, yeah, and no one knew about this. And so I remember I created like this little pamphlet to make sure that when everyone that was coming into the command saying, hey guys, FYI, if you get an opportunity, here's some free courses that right now that can give you college credit, and also looks good on your pedigree, showing that you're actually doing something outside of your command for
Mm.
yourself. And people were using it, and people were really happy that I offered that, but no one knew. Every other command that I went to, everywhere else, no one even talked about it. And so, yeah, it's really, really, how can I put it? Not to sound like I'm bashing the military.
Well, that's a hard thing to do and then still be like, I love it, you know?
You know, it, it's just like you have a lot of people that just, I think there's a lot of skaters, a lot of people that are just skipping by, just doing the bare minimum.
Oh yeah, that
And
was
in
me.
turn, yeah, so they just missing out on opportunities to help offer for your brothers and sisters while you're in. And that's I think a big problem, a really big problem, is that a lot of people just, that's part of the reason why as I was getting out, right before they asked if I was going to stay or not, if I wanted to stay or not, I said I'm done, was because we protect our own, and we help ensure that, oh, let's give them an opportunity, give them an opportunity. Problem was is that we've given so many opportunities to so many people
Mm,
that just don't fucking deserve it.
yeah.
And so that was one thing that I noticed while I was in. There were a couple of people, and I won't name their names, but if this goes out, everyone knows exactly who the fuck I'm talking about. That just basically were skating, somehow got away with a lot, and still in the military somehow. Still in the military, probably by now at this level, they should be a chief, which is scary. Scary to know that we let so many people just slide. When in
Mm.
reality, we should have said, "Get the fuck out. There's the door." Give us
Right.
let's get someone else that actually does care, that actually wants to build the future for themselves and for, the military. And that was my biggest issue, is that you just see some of these, and to know now, I know for a fact the one that I'm talking about, she is more than likely a chief, and that sucks. And so for those that don't know, that are not Navy, that's, what is it, E7, right? E7.
Yeah, E7, yeah.
That's E7. And to know that that person that skated that long to get to E7, oof, gosh, man. And I feel bad to know anyone that's leading under those type of people. I think that's the retention problems right now. That's a big reason. It's because of that. You let
Mm.
so many people skate for so long. Now they're in a leadership role, and now everyone else has to deal with it. But you're not going to let them go because they're a leader, a shitty leader at most.
Yeah,
So
I think that kind of made me think of, I think it was in, God, I want to say it was like 2008 or 2009 ish. Like Navy started to downsize, and
you know,
there was a few guys that I worked with. One in particular, I won't say his name either, but um, I think he was E5 at the time,
mhm.
second class pay officer, and man, he was like one of the smartest guys, if not the smartest in our division. He was definitely top three. He knew everything, all the freaking manuals. Like if you had any questions, you'd go to him, and he'd fucking point you in the right direction. And the
Hell yeah.
Navy forced them out because I don't
Man.
think he had like his air surface pin or something like something stupid like that. But it's like, okay, so one of the smartest guys who loves this shit, you freaking's like, just fucking go Navy,
Mhm.
hoorah, motherfucker. You just,
Yeah.
hey, sorry. And that's kind of like what you're saying. And the guys that don't, who are bullshitting everything, they don't give a fuck.
No.
And now they're E7s, E8s, senior chiefs, and all this crap, or even
Nope.
a first class pay officer. They got a little pull too, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, wow, you've been in for 15, 20 years just fucking around, and now
Hmm.
you're in charge of other people. And I think that's a kind of a bad trickle down effect, like you're saying,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to preparing. young sailors or whatever it is, officers even
Mhm.
for that transition process. You know, like man, I wish you were at my command because I would have been like fucking got that pamphlet. My ass would have been looking at it. Instead, I was too busy fucking around because nobody ever talked about that shit,
No.
especially like the medical part, like in your VA. I still never got my VA stuff taken care of, which is horrible. But like
Yeah.
that whole transition, if I were smart at the time or would have prepared better, I would have done
Mhm.
like kind of what you said that you did. And another individual I talked to said he did the same thing when he was leaving the army. Started getting all his ducks in a row with the VA before,
Good.
like so.
Yeah.
Man, he was like ready to rock and roll the second he got out as well. I'm like, man, that is the smartest thing to do.
So
Um,
what I've been telling a lot of people that are in your level right now, where you've got out, you didn't get the VA organized for yourself and stuff. I got lucky. Now, before I say their name, I'd rather the whole thing first. Uh, so it's a company that basically will help get the paperwork organized, help get everything done, no charge, no charge, no charge, no charge, unless you get a rating. And if you get a rating, they
mm,
want 6 months of it. And I was a little skeptical, but I was like, you know what? I mean, if I get it, it'll help take care of everything, for the rest of my life. Also, fuck it, let's go ahead and go down that route. A lot of paperwork. They help get scheduling for psychologists, hearing, the medical for when I had my fingers busted and everything, and for my back, and a bunch of other little things that happened. They were able to get it all done and organized, and internally, I was able to get a good rating. Uh, but the biggest issue and the hardest thing to swallow is that they're taking 6 months of your pay.
mm.
And so it's called Veterans Guardian. I don't know if you heard about them.
I,
Definitely.
I think I have. That sounds really. The company sounds familiar. I didn't know that's
Yeah.
how they did it though. Okay.
Yeah, it's a good group. I mean, they definitely helped out a lot. So I recommended it to a couple of people, and they got them, situated. And so far, everyone's getting, a little bit organized. I had a guy that was Desert Storm, missing a leg,
Oh shit.
half his hand, and he had a heart issue, and so he's going to the VA because he went through the full 20 years, but he never got his disability rating. He had a 10%. They rated him 10%. Missing leg, half of his left hand, and he had a
What
heart
the
issue.
fuck?
Yeah, they gave him 10%. So he was like, I met him, and he just got out of the hospital. He was in his bed, and I'm talking to his wife, and I was like, well, hopefully VA's taking care of him and stuff like that. She's like, they're not. We're having to pay everything out of pocket. This and I was like, wait a minute. He had a bronze star. He had a couple of purple hearts, the whole 9 yards. And I was like, you're telling me you don't have it? And she's like, no. So I gave him the number, and about 2 years ago, I heard that he got the rating of 100%, and it was
Damn.
back paid as well. And I think that was like 20 years or something like that they back paid him. Yeah, so finally the family was taken care of. They were living in it was a one bedroom apartment. It was four of them. Their son just went off to the army, and they're just trying to make ends meet. And so, knowing that, that's the reason why I've kind of pushed people saying, hey, if you have nothing, you're trying to figure out some things, trying to see if there's an opportunity for you. Veteran Guardian's actually not too bad. It's one I can recommend. So,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, definitely. If you get a chance, I would check him out. Just give him a phone call.
That'll be
And
interesting because 6 months. I know that might scare a lot of people, but shit, it's like you already haven't been getting it, so it's 6 months. You know.
yeah, fuck it. And what's also another option they gave to me and him was that you can do full 6 months, or you can break it into half and then over 12 months. So this way you get a little bit of something over a year, and then after that you're good.
Mm,
But just to help bring in a little bit of extra cash, I was like, that's not a bad idea. That's not good. That sounds like a good option. So um, yeah, man, there's just so many things. Stepping out, I got lucky. Like I said, I
mm.
got really fucking lucky, man. Veterans Guardian, um, what was it? HM, I think she was HM3 Cheeks. Sweet, sweet, sweet person that I met in the military. she made sure to have all my medical documents all set. I had, big old stack of that shit. She was like, here's a copy. Here's a second copy as well too, just in case it gets lost, which actually happened because my dumbass like, oh, I'll just join again. I'll probably go to the Marines. FYI, those assholes wound up losing all my paperwork. I gave it to them to see if I can get back in. They lost it all. I was like, you fucking idiots. Damn recruiters. Always the recruiters. But yeah, I gave her. I had two copies, luckily, so I had a second, deck to work off of, and she was able to make sure get everything printed out. So we got to start making a list, man, for like what people need to do before they leave. If you're 2 years out, 1 year out, 6 months, 3 months, what you need to be ready for.
Yeah.
Definitely need to start. I mean, that's something needs to be something set and ready for those that are like, I'm just doing 4 or 6 or whatever. Those last 2 years, that's something, yeah, we should definitely get organized for some of these peeps,
Yeah, I think that's, man, yeah, very important because I knew I was getting out my last year. That's when I met my now wife, or met her just before. Came back from deployment. I met her. She was going to college, SDSU and stuff. And, she kind of, that's where I started thinking maybe about life after the Navy, because I always thought I was going to be a lifer. I was like, man, I love this shit. Like, I hate it and I love it because it's, I don't know. You can't, that type of job is just fucking nuts.
It's so different. You will not have anything like it in the civilian world, no matter
You can
what.
fuck around almost all day. Like, I feel like I fucked around, but then when it was time to work, I'd gun deck a fucking, or needle gun a fucking deck, the non-skid. I've done that before. I've freaking shined brass. I've painted pipes. I've done all the crap that you're supposed to do when you have to do it. Freaking strip and polish floors and all that fun crap.
Yeah, but in a while, fuck.
Yeah, it's been a
that
long
shit
time.
sucked. I remember that strip and polish and clean. I mean, everyone's a guaranteed janitor by the time they get out of that military time.
Oh yeah. I don't know. My wife hates when I mop. I don't know what it is. I told her, I was like, I'm always like, babe, I'm like an expert mopper. She's like, no, I just don't like the way you do it. I'm like, hey, that's the way the military trained me to do it. So
exactly.
I don't know. Maybe I was just fucking bullshitting it back then. I don't know. But it's funny because like even like things that should be serious, like there's rust on the on something, like I'll just paint over it, hospital white. Like you never saw it. I think I can talk about this stuff now. I think it's safe now. It's been almost 11 years, so. Yeah, awesome. I think all that shit is important, man. Like, because that last year I knew I was getting out, and I procrastinated, and then when it came down to like the last few months, I kind of started shitting myself. I'd already got accepted to go to. I was going to junior college when I got out, so I already had that lined up. But man, it's I wish I would have definitely saved more money. Got not. I guess you can't really like mentally prepare for the transition, but start looking for jobs months in advance instead of thinking, oh, I'm just gonna get my GI Bill and I can fuck around and figure it out. But that a lot of stuff isn't there. I mean, I had some pretty good first class pay officers that try to tell me what to do. I think I kind of just blew them off. I was like, oh, whatever. I got it. Yeah. It's like, man, like you said, I'm lucky. I'm lucky where I'm at because I've even had those same questions where other veteran guys I run into or gals are like, how do you seem so happy? How did you get to this point? I'm like, man, some of it's luck, and some of it's that I kind of just got over myself and I just started fucking working, man. Like, you gotta embrace the shit and the grind. It's not easy. And one of the things I've learned, kind of like we are talking about earlier, when you get out and you see these guys, like kind of like even we have those shit jobs, but you think like, oh man, look at that person. They got it figured out. My wife like changed careers late 20s, early 30s to become a teacher. It's like nobody has it figured out, man. That's what I learned. Like you can be 28, 29 years old, be like, no, fuck the job I have. This is what I really want to do. Like that's how it is for a lot of people. And it's hard to, I think a lot of veterans think it's only them. Like, oh, it's just me like this. It's everybody, dude. You know, it's you
Yeah.
gotta.
I mean, I really like. I mean, like what you mentioned earlier. Like, we've had so much, experience and worldly views and things that we've done. It's just like now I'm working, at McDonald's, or I'm, you know, when I was doing project management. I mean, I was literally, picking up dog shit and cleaning up around the dumpsters for the properties that we had to oversee. And at the time, I'm working on my doctorate. And right after I did all that, I had to change real quick and go be a professor. And so it's just hard. It's so hard to see and remind you, constantly having to remind yourself over and over that just embrace the suck, take pride in who you are and what you've done, and where you're going.
Yeah.
Where you're going is going to be the next and most important piece, not what you have to do now. This is just your step to the big one. And yeah, it's hard. It's really hard. Gosh, man, I the random jobs, the random things we have to do, and here we are now. You run a podcast, I own a coffee company, and
But it's
you
the
know,
same. It kind of reminded me, like you said, somebody asked you, like, why are you starting a coffee company? It's like, why not? Why
uh,
not? Fuck
fuck
it.
it.
If you want to do it, fucking go for it. Like that. I've been asked that even with my podcast. Like, well, why are you starting a podcast? I'm like, fuck, I don't know. It's kind
Yeah,
of fun to talk to other veterans, man. I kind of get a kick out of it because it's
hell yeah.
like, damn, uh,
Dude,
why
I want
not?
to
Type
join
thing,
you on this, man. Like, I really want to, like, the next one you have, I'm down to come, man, because this is fun. Like, it's just accepting it. That's so cool, dude. I'm so glad you're doing this, man. I mean, it shows so many perspectives within the military. You have people that are going to be like, man, fuck the military. Don't ever join it. That's the worst thing. And then you're going to have people saying, I have some of the most important people that I have met through the military. The career and things that I learned have prepared me for my next step in my future. And
Yeah.
so, dude, that's so cool. I mean, what has been your favorite person to talk to on your cat or your podcast so far?
Oh shit. Damn, that's a tough one, man. There's been a lot of good ones. Shit. There's been some like tearjerker ones where some guys have told me about some things that have happened within their
Yeah,
family or friends. But man, like my favorite person, holy fuck. I've had a couple. If I were to, I guess I could name a couple. If I had to pick, starting from the top, Mark Stefanshian. He's probably one of my favorite ones, if not my favorite. Actually, his shirt company is one of the ones popping up back here.
yeah.
He donates all his sales, all his proceeds to PTSD and mental health stuff. He was in the army.
Hell yeah.
Cool
Hell
ass
yeah.
fucking dude. I was like the first person I've talked to where I kind of had a different take on like what it means to be a veteran and like what certain
Yeah.
people go through because he went through some hard shit when he was in the army.
Yeah.
And then just recently, um, what's his name? Dave Gambone I had on who was in the army. Man, he's had I think he said 11 people that he knows that have committed suicide,
Yeah.
and that's kind of why he started his foundation, minus 22, and
Mm.
his was that one. His was tear jerking, but at the same time, just a really good dude, and like he got medically discharged as well, and he was saying how hard it was because he went through like having to get lawyers, and it was really messy for him to get out, and then to still. I think a lot of veterans that does mentally break them down, and they end up, going down that path of drugs, alcohol, and then like maybe
Yeah.
even committing suicide. So for him to still be there and like driving the narrative, like, hey, you're not alone. We
Yeah.
got this program where he wants to get like housing built or houses built for veterans and communities. It's like, holy shit, dude.
Hell
The
yeah.
fact that you can take something bad, a bad experience or whatever it is, or stories, relationships that you had with people who have committed suicide and turn it into something great
Yeah.
is fucking crazy. I think that
Yeah.
shit's impressive, and those probably been the two that stand out right away when I think of like just like the way it made me feel, You know, it's like, damn, it really hit home because it's different perspectives. Because
Yeah.
I mean, I've never lost anybody to suicide or anything like that, or any close friends, or
Mhm.
known anybody that died while serving. So I was like, damn, I thought, they like he had a really good outlook on being a veteran and like kind of finding a balance because he's like, man, you got when you join, you're just a civilian, just
Mhm.
a person, right? A
Yeah.
normal person. He's like, but then you become a soldier or military member, whatever it is, he's like, when you get out, he's like, you forgot that you were a civilian at one point, but now you're becoming a civilian again. He's like, the hardest part, he believes that, and I kind of agree with him with this, is finding like those two people, like the person you were before and the person you are now, and
Yes.
kind of merging them into this new person. Like you're not military anymore, you're a civilian again. So you got to kind of remember how to do what you used to do before you joined and merge it with what you know and your experience and your skill set now. And it's
Yeah.
fucking true, I think.
Oh
It
yeah.
took me a
Oh yeah.
long time to get to this point.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely agree. I mean, I won't lie. I always kind of wash over a lot of the things that happened, but I mean, they were important things. Like, I mean, I've had to deal with some really interesting things as a detainee transportation. Like, I mean, I mean, murderers to
Oh shit.
sex trafficking. Yeah, like the whole nine yards. I've had to deal with that for domestic and or for you know, including military is what I usually also bring up, and that's
Mhm.
always a shocker to see like all the things that we've had, and um, it, it sucks to see all that, but then it's also a reminder of you got to definitely do something in this world because there's a lot of bad in this world and a lot of things that can make things really difficult. But you got to make it. You got to show your star and who you are in this world and make it a better one. That's for sure.
Mhm.
It's always kind of like a hard way to explain it, but like just you got to be who you want to be in this world, and that's so cool that we get to do what we had that opportunity now. It sucks. I wish I could have done this the minute I got out. you know?
Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. I
Oh,
joke about that all the time with my wife. I'm like, man, I wish I would have started this 10 years ago. I was like,
you
fuck,
know?
maybe I would be on like some major platforms and shit. I was like, I just started this,
Yeah.
I started it up this year, and it's funny because I didn't originally want it to be a military thing. I just kind of wanted to shoot shit with people. Like I had my brother on, a couple
Yeah.
guys from high school, and then I had a veteran on. I was like, oh man, like it kind of like flipped the gears for me. I was like, maybe this is what I should be doing, man. This is so fucking
Yeah.
cool talking to veterans and
Hell yeah.
all these different perspectives. Like your story's totally different than everybody else I've talked to. I think this is gonna be fuck what 24, 25 episodes in. So it's like
Nice.
everything's different, Everybody
Oh,
has different, but then kind of the same. That's what's so cool about it. And I know you could relate to this, like just anybody in the military that you talk to. It's almost like you can just talk to them, man. Like you can pick
yes.
up and just shoot the shit regardless of what branch you were in. And you
Yeah.
can make fun of them, and it's like whatever. It's fucking fun and games. Like I've had a couple of Marine
Exactly.
friends, and they're like, "Oh, you guys are pussies, you guys are in the Navy." I was like, "Hey, man, I just dropped your ass off and said good luck."
I got like family that my wife has and they're Marines and I always like, hey buddy, he's like, don't worry, man, I brought some snacks. I got Crayola, I got like stupid things just to make jokes and you can have that fun. And you brought up another thing, like I didn't really notice how having this experience of military service to where now these people are really involved. Like until I started doing the whole coffee company, everyone's like, oh yeah, I served this, I did that, I did this. And next thing you know, it's like as if we're friends. And my wife is always like, she's like, you just start talking, you guys just all start hanging out. I'm like, yeah, like it's just, because we all, went through something that was different. We didn't go to college. We didn't just start working with a job. We kind of went and reached out for something different that only a handful of people do in this world. And
Mhm.
they understand. And like the guy from Miami that was an officer now or was doing a bagging. I just met him like 2 weeks ago, I'm sorry, last week. Last week, I just met him, and now me and him we're texting and everything and shooting shit like as if we've been hanging out for fucking months. you know, like it's cool. Like he actually brought it up in the our meeting because it was a Veterans Week last weekend on
Mhm.
Friday. JP Morgan was nice enough to give us like this dinner and everything, and he's like, he's like, I'm not gonna lie, he's like, this is really good. And what are we talking about? He's like, no one will understand, the things that I had to do or the things that you had to do unless we've gone through it. And he's like, thank you. He's like, thank you for just talking. And I was like, fuck yeah, bro, let's do this. Like, when you want to hang out, we'll go get a beer. And he was like, dude, I really want to. I really want to have a beer with you. I was like, fuck yeah, man, that's awesome. And I just met this guy. I don't want to say his name, but now like it's that experience. Like it's just such a different one than what you
Mhm.
can do at college or trade school or a trade that you're working with. I mean, it's just such a different world that you're part of a brotherhood. You
Yeah,
know,
and it's super true. Like, it's funny when I remember I think I kind of got lecture. I think this might have been me getting in trouble and slightly a lecture at the same time from one of my chiefs. He had told me, um, he's like, "Hey, the guys you're hanging out with right now, you think are your best friends?" He's like, "But your best friends are ones you grew up with." And I was like, "I don't know," because now that I'm out and like at my wedding, everybody that was there basically were all my buddies from the Navy. They're all my groomsmen. Like my best friend who I talk to almost every day, who's in the Navy. It's like I don't know, and my wife knows him too. So it's like we got this like kind of a family because we all met each other at the same, or she met myself and my buddies all around the same time, and it's like I don't know, man. It's like if I were to go back in time, I'd tell that dude like I don't fucking know. I wouldn't say, "Hey, chief, I don't fucking know about that," but you know, it it's different, man. It's a
yeah,
totally different thing. Like my best friend and I were just shooting the shit, and he was like, "Man, know what I hate the most?" Because like he works for an oil company now, and he's like, "This guy didn't relieve him from like his shift till like super late, like an hour late." He's like, "Remember that shit when you're in the Navy, man?" He's like, "We're on fucking watch, and the guy wouldn't fucking show up on time." I was like, "Dude." I
motherfucker.
forgot all about that. He's like, "That's my biggest fucking pet peeve, man." He's like, "Fucking show up on time, damn it!" And I'm like, I felt bad. I was like, "No shit." I was like, "That's something I totally forgot." But man, when you have like that balls to four watch and it's like fucking
Yeah,
5 in the morning now, you're like, dude, like, where the fuck is this guy? Like, wake up. Like,
yeah. Get your ass over here. I'm waiting to go home so I can go get some hours. Or I get that one, man. And again, people just it's such a weird world that we were a part of, man. So I just this has kind of just been my way of it, staying with the peeps and everyone that I know, and I sell the coffee and give it to the nonprofits, but I also get the opportunity to talk to my buddies and hey, thank you so much for the support, man. It's actually going to help out for a Thanksgiving feast for a veteran nonprofit organization. They're like, oh man, I'm so glad I was able to do it. Coffee was great. I'm like, fuck yeah. And having a long conversation and talking to him now about how his life is, how his kids are. It's such a it's cool. It's a cool little thing that we got going on. For you got yours, I got mine,
yeah,
and
it is.
awesome.
It's such a cool thing, man. Like man, just thinking about now, even the guy from lower 22 vets, him and I
Yeah,
just recorded another thing yesterday, and it's kind of funny because him and I kind of laugh now. Like I didn't even know who he was to
yeah,
start this year. Now we've talked multiple times. We are always messaging each other. Same thing with Mark Stefanshin from Left Foot, Right Foot. Like
yeah,
we're
yeah,
always messaging each other and like check. Like there was a time, man, he hadn't posted anything in a while, Mark, and I had texted him. I was like, dude, or I messaged him. I was like, are you okay, dude? I was like, I haven't seen anything from you in a while. And
yeah,
he's like, thanks for checking in. He's like, no, I'm just on vacation. I was like, oh, cool. But
yeah. Just make sure you're okay though.
yeah, it's like a weird thing that has, like you said, I didn't really have a veteran community until I started the podcast. Kind of like I'm sure you've experienced.
Yeah.
starting your coffee company and
Oh yeah.
other avenues that you've worked in, you know?
Yeah. It's I've been digging it, man, because like these nonprofits, like same thing. Project 22, Sean, nice guy, loved to death. He helped out with getting the T-shirts and stuff like that we got going on, and he stopped posting for a while and everything. I was like, "What's going on, brother?" So I gave him a phone call, just like, "Hey, man, just checking in, making sure you're okay." He's like, "Dude," he's like, "I've been through the ringer,"
Mm,
and I was like, "What's going on, man? Let's just sit down and talk for a minute." And he's out in Tennessee, I'm here in San Diego, and just checking in. And next thing you know, I got a lot of respect for this guy. This guy, he uh, he works for the police department, runs this nonprofit while also trying to start a side business to hopefully transition out of the police department into his thing. And but just the whole process of everything that's been going on, and it was just good to actually like my little community now. Hey man, just checking in. I was doing a donation real quick. I saw that you haven't posted in over a month. Same thing, just
mhm.
checking in. And he was like, yeah, just he let it out for a minute, and I was just like, dude, thank you for letting it out. Thank you for talking to me, man. And he on our wedding, he said congratulations as well. So he couldn't make it, and stuff, but I still wanted to let him know, like, appreciate you, bro. And but yeah, it's this our little worlds now that we got for our communities, and we get to find a way to connect and still help support the ones that need the support, and kind of give people an opportunity to have a voice.
Mhm.
So you especially, that's so awesome.
Oh, I'm hoping so. I mean, like I said, this is still, man, it's pretty new for me. It's funny because my best friend and I had actually made 2 episodes a couple years ago.
Yeah,
He was still in the Navy at the time, and then we just stopped. It was just hard to ever continuously get it going. He's in Louisiana and shit, or I think he was stationed in Virginia at the time. So I
yeah,
was like,
yeah,
fuck, 3-hour difference, and he's going out to sea a lot. And it was like, okay, the time's never available. But yeah,
yeah.
so I went by a few years not doing it. And then, yeah, started back up in this past April, I think. And man, I really hope it becomes something that
It will.
not
It will.
like I was telling my wife, I don't care if I ever make money off of it. That's not my goal for it. But I hope it gets to a lot of veterans and just whoever. It could be regular folks too. It can be just your average Joe. Because I think there's some cool insight if you're interested in what veterans go through, the mindset of a veteran, the challenges that
Yeah,
we all face, different things. You're like, hey, I wonder what they go through. I'm interested in.
yeah,
Um, and then same thing, vice versa. If there's veterans out there that can like tune into an episode or something like, holy crap, yeah, I'm going through the same shit this person's going through, but
yeah.
look, they made it, so there is some light. Like, I hope there's some positive stuff to be taken from it more than anything.
Hell yeah. Yeah. That's one reason why, like, the minute you brought up this whole, like, if you want to do a podcast, I was like, yeah, there's nothing but positive, like, that I've always seen coming from podcasts and stuff. And I mean, I've even thought about doing one as well too. It's a stupid one, but I think it would be fun just to do is, I was going to call it the journal review, where, Dr. Parra and I got a couple other guys that I know that are also, like, they got their doctorates, but when you go through a doctorate, you have a journal review, or you have your dissertation, and your
Mhm.
dissertation is fancy writing, and words that have apostrophes in them and shit, all types of crazy stuff that no one, not even us, can really even understand. And so I've always thought it would be cool to have like a podcast where a couple of doctors say, like, break it down Barney style. Let's tell me
Mhm.
about your dissertation as if I'm fucking 8 years old. Let's hear it. And kind of just give an opportunity for people to learn a little bit about something that's currently peer reviewed research, that's the at the forefront of what's going on in our society, and anyone can understand it. That's what I was thinking. So, I'm not gonna lie, you inspired me, and now that I'm starting to, I got the whole setup and everything going on here. I got the floodlights, I got the mics, and so I'm hoping I'll be on your level somewhere along the line, because that sounds like fun
Man, my level's still super low. Like, I have to shift furniture around in my bedroom to make it work. But
too.
and it's big furniture, so it's not easy. So But
feel like
but yeah, so like we are joking. I was like, man, our next house. I told my wife, I was like, our next house. I need like because our office used to be, or our office is now our son's room because we have two kids. At the time, we
yeah.
only had one when we moved here, so he took over the office, and our daughter took over his old room. So it's like,
Nice.
man, it's like our next house. We gotta have 4 bedrooms. So like, I just want like a cool little studio area where I can just, I don't have to move shit. I don't have to constantly take it away. I can just sit down and be ready to
Hell,
rock. But
hell yeah.
yeah, my ultimate goal. It's something I've tossed around with a couple of times. Like I would love to have like I don't know how you even do this stuff, but like to have an actual radio station type thing where because I drive a lot for work. I'm in the car all the
Yeah.
time. I listen to a lot of sports talk and music and shit like that. But like the other, it hit me a couple weeks ago. I was like, man, I'm just sitting here listening to guys talk about sports. It'd be cool to turn into like a station and it's different veteran topics for a lot of different 3 hours, 2 hour time frames. Like
Yeah.
just talking about different shit. Like you're a veteran with the business. How if you're a veteran, what are the steps that you need to take to utilize certain loans and
Yeah.
how to start an LLC and start marketing, get all the necessary tools to start a business and manage it,
Yeah.
grow
Yeah.
it. Because I don't know how to do that stuff, but man, if I were a veteran, I'm like thinking about it. I know there's certain loans out there that you can utilize, but I don't know
Oh
the
yeah.
depth of that.
Oh yeah.
Stuff like that, real estate, and obviously your mental health type
Yeah.
topics or allotted
Yeah.
hours. That's where I hope to get this thing eventually. You know,
Man, I'm crossing fingers, saying some prayers in the meantime, man. Because yeah, I think you're onto something for sure. This is good. It's just a good way for the veteran community to understand, like, hey, you're not the only one. First of all, going through the bullshit. Second, we're here to support you. Three, reach for the stars. And you're giving that opportunity and that voice. So yeah, just thank you, man. Appreciate this. I really do.
no problem. Thank you. Yeah. So right before we wrap up here, I was going to ask you: is there any last like pieces of advice you'd give to anybody? Um, you know, thinking about even starting a business. Like, what's that piece of
uh,
advice you'd give to that veteran coming out?
uh, oh wow, definitely set yourself up to where you're financially organized, if possible, but still go. Just start. Do whatever you can financially to get the ball moving, but don't hold off. Just start. And LLC and everything comes down the road. Like I did an LLC until I think I was already like a solid like 8 months in, and already I was dumping, buying equipment and this and that, and posting and whatnot. Logistics were going crazy, and that's when I did. I was like, okay, well, just in case, because I don't want to get in trouble, separate myself from the business if God forbid something was ever to happen, so we don't get in trouble. But yeah, just go, just do it. It definitely Google's going to be your best friend if you if you do go and get established as an LLC and everything. The best step that I say that was definitely a way to help expand us into a little bit more chambers of commerce. Uh, at least in California, it gave us a lot of opportunity to get like grants, um, being involved with the communities, farmers markets, all this stuff. Literally, I was getting people contacting me because, oh, we saw your information on the Chamber of Commerce. We wanted to need some help for a grand opening. Would like to have some coffees and tea set up. What time? I'll be there. But downside is, of course, it's everything is going to cost. But the biggest thing is that you're investing in yourself. This is an investment for yourself. This is a business that's your name, and you can do whatever you want with it. That's the best part, is that I have no bosses above me. And if I want to give out some free coffee, or if I want to help out more for the community instead of putting it towards the business, I could do that. I have that opportunity. It's my decision. It's my choice. And I take pride in all of that too. So if I tell anyone, just do what you can to be financially organized to get the ball moving ish. And then the rest just, it will happen along the way. And if it doesn't, guess what? You tried. You did the one thing, which was actually try. A lot of people, I mean, you know it, I know it. There's just people that are dreamers, and it's good to have a dream, but it's only a dream until it's actually put onto pin and moved, put into motion. So if you're doing it, go ahead and go for it. LLC, $200 through legal Zoom, filing with the city, that was another $100. But you still got to, post online. You still got to be involved, and you got to have that passion and value to understand that that's yours. It's your child. It's your baby. So take pride in it and accept the road that comes along the way. And yeah, yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun.
Yeah, I appreciate it again. Is the website veteransbrewingcompany.com as well?
Yes,
Is that
sir.
where? All right. Yeah. So
And so for anyone that does happen to buy any coffees or teas from us, pretty much almost all the profits go to veteran nonprofit organizations. We're going to be giving some to Veteran Suicide Awareness Project. Avita, she runs that, an amazing woman that does a lot of stuff with veterans. She's actually in Riverside, so not too far from you, brother.
Yeah, she's close.
Yeah, she's a sweetheart. I think she just got engaged. I know she's pregnant. She's trying to make something of herself. She's gone through a lot, and definitely would recommend them. We were also with Project 22 as well. And I'm just now going to start hooking up VetPaw, which is a veteran nonprofit organization that helps support poaching prevention in Africa. So we're doing what we can. So I'll make sure to get. Let's see. I'll do it. I'll call it the Berm Show 30, and I'll give you guys a 30% off for the next 6 months as well too. I'll make that up for you. Okay, the Berms Show, one word.
All right.
30% off for the next 6 months. So this way, any listeners that happen to want to just try something out. I mean, we do small batch coffees, small batch teas as well. And it's all for a good cause. Good coffee for a good cause.
Hell yeah. Yeah, send me that so I can post it up too and get people to go over there and check out your coffee and buy some stuff. I mean, for anybody that does buy it too, the espresso smiles back at you. I've never seen that. Every time I make a freaking espresso, I look in there and I crack up because I make caramel macchiatos. I'm bougie, so I'm like, I look in there and I'm like, damn, look at this thing smiling back at me. I was like, this thing's just like, drink me.
Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah. Man, just for that, I'm going to throw you another bag. I'm going to get that.
I need it.
You got to get that.
I ran out, man. I made my last one today, so.
Oh, man, I got to throw your way, okay?
Awesome.
Hey, brother.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it, Daniel. You have a good one, man. I can't wait to see what else you guys got.
Hell yeah. Thanks, man. You take care of yourself, though, okay?
Oh, you too. Thank you.